Well, today we're going to be looking at a scenario where Poland forms an empire. Let's get into it. So, Poland is a very interesting country historically, and well, they're in the center of Europe, and they were looking to form an empire, but they might have a little bit of trouble with powers like Germany, Ukraine, and especially Russia. Let's see where Poland goes after first. And what does Poland go after first? They can't go. They could go after Lithuania, which are you sure Russia would like that too much? Because they have the exclave. They wouldn't want to invade Belarus because that could have promoted a response from Russia. They wouldn't want to invade in either of these two directions. And so basically Czechia or Slovakia. They could choose either one, and they decide to go with Slovakia, not the whole world map. But they choose this as Slovakia. They're probably the weakest neighbor other than Lithuania, and it would just anger the least people. And what's Poland's justification for this? They staged Slovenian troops going through here. Yeah. Oh, and also another thing, no NATO. So basically, they staged the Slovenians basically invading Polish territory, which is not true, but uh, mainly just for their expansion conquests. Very quickly, Polish troops were entering through the south, quickly making a spearhead, cutting off this tiny part here from the rest of Slovakia. And the Polish troops are just absolutely destroying the Slovakians here, but they do still hold out in one final encirclement. But the Slovakians, while the Polish troops are mainly focusing on that front, are working towards pushing the Polish back a bit. But pretty big counteroffensive by Poland is made, and they get close to the capital. Which, wait, what is their capital? I think it's like right here. Let's just say it is. And but a very good counteroffensive from Slovakia allows the Polish to them to get fully pushed out of here. But at this point, the Slovakian troops have stopped, and the Polish can push back. And the Slovakians push back, and eventually, they make a very impressive counteroffensive, encircling all these troops, which is very bad as they lose all their armies, and Slovakia just basically surrenders. And we can look at the peace treaty, which is, well, as you can see right here, full annexation. Yeah. And Poland has expanded. But where do they go now? They might want to go after Lithuania, maybe not Hungary, maybe even Czechia, which is where they're going to go. Poland is going to offer to Czechia to buy, some land. They want, they're basically going to buy this little chunk of land that I've just highlighted in blue. They basically want to buy it from Czechia. And Czechia, weirdly, is actually going to accept, seeing that they might want Poland as an ally in the future. And this deal might make them more friendly with Poland. Yeah. And in that situation, Czechia actually makes an alliance with Poland, which is pretty big. So, where do the Polish go now? Well, they've only invaded one country, so how about two? Lithuania. Lithuania is another very interesting country historically. Just look at the Poland-Lithuanian Empire thing. But very quickly, Polish troops would be entering over into Lithuania, fully capturing this little connection way between Russia and Belarus. And Russia does not really like this. Yeah. And they feel that maybe the Polish might be trying to encircle Kaliningrad. So they are going to send Belarus and Latvia into this. No, mainly just Belarus. Latvia might come in a bit, but Belarusian troops are coming into Lithuania as they swarm the area, as the capital of Lithuania, Vilnius, has already been taken. But then, Latvia knows from the past video that Lithuania kind of beat them in a big war, so they want their revenge, and the Latvians are quickly going to go ahead and send their troops to try to get revenge against Lithuania from the Lithuanian Empire video. Who knows, maybe Latvia could form their own empire. But eventually, all of these areas are forced into surrender, and we can look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. As Poland expands more, and they actually make an alliance with Lithuania, and Polish expansion continues. Where will the Polish go now? They decide that they will actually go after Austria, not only because it'll get you closer to Slovenia, which Slovenia is closer to Croatia, which is at the Adriatic Sea, which is to the Mediterranean Sea, which basically very beneficial. And also Czechia could help in on this war. So yeah, the main focus is Czechia here, as Czechia is going to actually be the first ones to invade Austria and very quickly send a lot of their forces in. In Austria, the capital is like here or something. So well, that capital was taken pretty quickly within the first few weeks of this war. And Austria doesn't look so well. And it's going to be even further highlighted when Italy joins the war and goes ahead and just takes a bunch of these areas, enforcing the panhandles of Austria to surrender. Austria is a country, just to say. So why are you in the war, Slovenia? As the Slovenians will be going ahead and invading Austria alongside Italy. And Austria after this is just going to be forced to surrender. And we can look at the peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty, as Poland grows even more. But some countries are going to decide to finally put their foot down and finally stand up to the Polish. Who's going to stand up to the Polish? Germany. They feel kind of threatened with Poland kind of taking over the influence of Eastern Europe. Like with Czechia, they don't have influence. They don't have Austrian influence. And, well, Polish influence they definitely don't have. They have their own sphere of influence now. And also another country that is sort of worried about the incoming threat up north is Hungary. So Germany and Hungary form this pact against the Polish. And, well, Poland doesn't really like this. So what are they going to do? Take on another country a few years later, of course. Whereas the Polish are mainly emphasizing on Slovenia. And the Polish, just like they did with Austria, are going to quickly send their troops down here. And also, with the help of Czechia, they will be continuing to push down until they get basically a big slam on the brake. They just stop. There's no advancements, but the Slovenians do make small pushbacks, and are even starting to push back the Polish a bit. And why could this be? Oh. Italy was secretly in a pact with Slovenia, and that is why they joined the war against Austria with Italy. And now, Italian forces are being sent over here, as well. A few 100,000 troops that were sent down here aren't a bit too measly in order to go ahead and take out all of these forces. As, Czechia's fully pushed out, and, the Polish are being pushed back a lot. And they are just kicked out of Slovenia, actually. Yeah. And the Italians most of their military over in this front are going ahead to take all this territory. And then Polish troops are going to be looking at, sending more troops down. They send more Czech troops down in order to help with the Italians. But the Italians are still very strong, as the Polish aren't able to make very many breakthroughs. And, they do make a pretty large breakthrough, but it doesn't really work out too well. Just not going well. As Czechia is fully pushed back, and, the Italians are pretty strong. Probably stronger than Poland, but maybe with Latvia and Czechia, this is definitely the strongest opponent they fought yet. But very quickly, Italian troops will be going ahead and going into here, as they are just quickly going to go ahead and be able to capture Prague, and sort of avoiding the Sudetenland to not get mad at Germany. But some military generals decide, you know what? We want this land. It's pretty valuable land. Why did Germany want World War II? So they're going to take it. And Germany has some things to say about that, but doesn't really care. It's not their war. They can't really do much. But the Polish are pushing back down south, attempting to reach the Adriatic Sea coastline. Yeah. But the Italians are going to make one grave mistake. You see this tiny area here? They actually send a force of troops through it. Let me make it a different color, like green. No, let's just do this color. As these troops go ahead and make it or attempt to make it to here, they think they're going around, but they got the directions mixed up and they're going here. So about here, some German troops find them and fire. And well, Italians are not going to like this, and so are Germans. So Italians are going to decide, we're invading Germany. And as they rapidly invade into Germany, sending their full force over here. And even some Bavarian areas in the Bavarian area in the southeast part of Germany are breaking away to join Italy. And this is going to prompt Hungary to join the war, which is not very good, as this main front of the Italians is not going so well. As the Slovenians are slowly reaching the ending point, and eventually Slovenia is fully captured, and it's just Germany, Hungary, Czechia, Poland, and Latvia versus Italy. And the Germans and the Italians are going to attempt to make a joint operation in order to encircle thousands of Italian troops, which is going very successfully as they pretty much make it through. But Italians see what's going on, and they start to rapidly send their troops out of this region. But it's too late, as the Polish and the Germans meet up, encircling millions, thousands, if not millions, of Italian troops. As Germans will be rapidly pushing themselves over into this territory, the Czechians will be taking back their territory, and all these troops are gone. Yeah. But then another country decides to join the war on their own side. They want some land from Italy, and that country's name is France. They have a pretty big dispute right now, not in real life, but in this scenario. They have a pretty big dispute over this region. And they want that, so they declare war on Italy, seeing that they're in a weak position, as the Italians will be being invaded. And well, France just doesn't really have any issues with Italian resisting, as a giant encirclement is made. And well, all of these troops are going to be forced into surrender. And Italy is going to have millions of troops down, reaching Rome and sieging the city. And eventually, Italy is going to be forced to surrender. And we can look at the peace treaty of this war. This is the peace treaty of this war. As well, Italy does exist, but they have a lot of economical reparations, and they sort of fall apart into two pieces. And well, North and South Italy just broke apart right after this war. And well, Germany gets a lot of land, so does Czechia, which kind of looks like a sort of hammer sort of thing as a shape, and Poland gets a long tail. Yeah. Or, no, a leg. Kind of looks like a boot. Yeah. It's Poland's boot. Yeah. And France gets some of this land. And what happens next is Poland will be going into, a break. They basically take a sort of break from expansion and even decide, through ties, Czechia and Poland both feel like it's better for them to unify for economic and military purposes. And they basically unify. But, this coalition is pretty big. Well, Latvia doesn't see a purpose of being in the alliance anymore, so they leave. And where does Poland go now? They may want to go after, they might not want to go after Germany. They're still pretty strong. Well, and with Hungary, that could probably beat you. But maybe Ukraine is a good option. They could definitely have some opportunity there. So they declare war on Ukraine. And that makes sense. But also that like a whole nother no there. So basically, what this means is Poland declares war on Ukraine and Belarus, and Russia only declares war on Ukraine. So basically, the Polish are mainly going to send their forces over into Belarus to quickly attempt to take them out. And well, this is what they're doing. This might make Russia a little mad, but they do make that agreement that they will make an agreement that they can split Ukraine if they give up Belarus. So what they do is they basically send their troops in, and this is very successful for the Polish in the Western Front. And well, Russia will be rapidly sending their giant military in a full-scale war of Ukraine, not just an invasion, a whole full-scale war. Now they actually have their full military might involved in this. As well, they will be greatly pushing back, as they beat Ukraine pretty badly, as they will also be dividing and Belarus is defeated. And now we can look at the peace treaty of this war. And this is the peace treaty of the war, as Ukraine is divided and Belarus is annexed. And, Germany's scared, so they just delete this sort of coalition thing. Yeah, and that is actually going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's scenario where Poland formed an empire. See you in the next video and bye!